Tom, I thought we'd start with the story that I guess is coming out of Ottawa today. We knew that the Emergency Act, I guess we can call it investigation commission, was going to get underway today. And at some point, we're expecting the Prime Minister will have to, I guess, testify or show up for this thing. What happened today?
It was really interesting what happened this morning because you've got so many parties involved. You've got the lawyers for the former chief of police of Ottawa, to give an example, Mr. Slowly. And you've got of course, lawyers for the federal government. And you've got lawyers from individual provinces that sought status to intervene. We heard from, by Zoom call, we heard from a lawyer for the government of Alberta who had something quite strange to say, but I'll get to that in a minute. With regard to Mr. Trudeau, yes, no question, he's going to have to be there. And it's going to be fun to watch because Mr. Trudeau is an extraordinarily capable and experienced communicator as a politician. He knows exactly what to do at question period. He takes in a question, makes some vague reference to the thesis of the question, and then pivots and delivers a line that's been prepared in advance. He's very good at doing that. He does it at scrums. He does it in question period. He does it all the time. Well, he's not going to get to do that in front of a judge. I remember when the We Charity scandal broke, he had to appear there, but he still had complete control. He was the master of the situation. And it was interesting to watch how the Liberals managed to stage that whole event. They were in charge. Here it's different. You've sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you have to answer the questions. So it's going to be interesting to see if Mr. Trudeau's been properly prepared for that by the people around him. I know he's got some of the best lawyers in Canada. He should have been prepared, but he's going to have to understand that this time around he's going to be required to be transparent. How did we come to declare this state of emergency? How did we get there? In other words, I think that I represent a lot of people who have been in law and government for a long time. When I say at the time when they imposed it, they had no choice but to impose it. I'll always back Trudeau's decision to impose it. But I also think that there's a very valid question to ask. Was everything done to avoid getting to that situation? Or was it allowed to fester for several weeks, and then it became inevitable that you had to impose it? And that's where Mr. Justice Rouleau is going to be able to dig in, and that'll be in his recommendations. By the way, this isn't about guilty or not guilty. This is about what lessons to learn from this one and put those on paper for future governments so that they don't make the same mistakes.
I love that you said it'll be fun to watch. Of course, it'll be fun for us to watch, not so much fun for the Prime Minister to be there.
No, exactly.
Although, I mean, in my mind, isn't it always, when you're telling the truth, isn't it way easier? Like he doesn't have anything to cover up here necessarily.
It's the whole truth part that's
right.
going to be the trick.
I like that. I want to get you to comment on something that's just been brewing for a few days, and I thought this story would go away. It's not. So Valérie Plante on Thanksgiving Monday tweeted out a nice message to Montrealers in French, and then she followed it up with a happy Thanksgiving message to Montrealers in English.
How dare she?
Sophie Durocher, who likes very much to point these kinds of things out, tweeted saying, "C'est quoi ça? Montreal is not a bilingual city. Like, kind of, how dare you, Valérie Plante?" And now, I've seen kind of kickback on both sides, Tom. I've seen people saying, yeah, it's not okay that the mayor did this. And then I've seen other people calling Sophie Durocher out as an Anglophobe. What have you been hearing, and what's happening in the French press?
Well, I know and work with Sophie Durocher, and I've never had 1 second to believe that she was an Anglophobe, meaning that, she's afraid of or doesn't like English-speaking people. She's allowed to have an opinion about what the city of Montreal can and can't do. From my point of view, when you want to wish people a happy holiday, you do it in their language. The language is available. When I was leader of the opposition in Ottawa, we would send stuff out in 10, 12 languages sometimes, depending on the event. And we work constantly in people's languages. So, yes, if people are celebrating Thanksgiving, by all means, do it in English, do it in French, do it in all the languages you want. And I think that, by the way, is one of the most gracious ways to do it because it avoids the fight about whether or not it's allowed in English when you do it. At the same time, to greet everybody. One of the beauties of Thanksgiving is it's not a religious holiday. It's a holiday to give thanks. So I guess to that extent, it is religious generically, but it's not one religion, saying, well, this is Christmas, that's for Christians, or this is a Yom Kippur, or this is, this. No, this is a holiday where we take stock of how lucky we are to live here. I think that's something that can be shared in every language.
I just want to ask, to Natasha's point, was this an issue on the French side? Was this discussed?
I have literally not heard a word about it.
There you go.
And I do tons of French media. Tons of French media. And I have literally not heard about it once.
Interesting.
Damn Anglos. Tom, let me ask this one here. We see a new poll today, Léger poll, which shows, I don't know, maybe we dispute the number, about 53% of Quebecers are in favor for a reform voting system because that 53% are the intellectuals, I guess, that the Premier was referring to.
Exactly. And so you subtract the 41% that voted for the CAC because they're obviously not intellectuals because they're all opposed to this. So, yeah, it comes out pretty well that way. Everybody who's fair-minded and cares about our democratic institution says, hold on, we've got a huge problem here. The guy who got 41%, or 40.9 to be more precise, he's got 100% of the power and 90 out of 125 MNAs for the next 4 years. How does that work? Oh, and by the way, this guy, Duhem, gets almost 14% and he gets 0 seats. So a lot of people are saying, okay, we're in a new world now. It's not a two-party system anymore. It's a multi-party system. And we've got to come up with a way to have a mixed member proportional system. It doesn't mean that you wind up with a situation like in Italy after the war or in Israel since they've had pure proportional where it's very hard to put together a government. There are ways to ensure that you get rid of the anomalies while at the same time allowing the creation of a stable government. And that's exactly what we should head for. And that's what a majority of Quebecers wants.
But so let me ask the obvious question is we're talking about this now. The election's not been over for that long. Are we going to be still talking about this 2 weeks from now?
I think so. And it's not just because Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon and Gabrielle Nadeau-Dubois are having an arm wrestle over, this, and Dominic Anglade's going to try to keep as much as she can for herself. That's just normal in politics. I don't think it's a temporary thing. I think that it has struck a chord with the average Quebecer, no matter who they voted for in the election, saying this can't work. It can't continue like this. Now, Legault's really spectacularly pig-headed. He doesn't budge on anything. He said this prior to the 2018 campaign. He held a signing ceremony. And he went so far during that signing ceremony to say, I'm not going to be like Justin Trudeau and promise democratic reform and not do it. I promise, and I'm putting it in writing, and I'm swearing I'm going to do it. So, I mean, it was just an absolute bald-faced lie, and he had no intention of doing it, and he did it to win. And he won, and then he didn't do it, predictably. But now I think that there is going to be, for the first time, real pressure from a very wide swath of the voting public to say, okay, let's get this done.
I don't know. I still can't imagine, only because, as you said, there's really no reason for Legault to do it now because he won as big a victory as he won. The Liberals don't want to do it.
No, but you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? You can come up with a list system. You add 10 seats to the National Assembly. Those 10 would be working off a list, and you need 10% or the closest to get one of those seats. And it's the numbers, it's the first, second, or third choices on your list that get a seat in the National Assembly. This type of system exists in other very reliable democracies. It's not that hard to do.
I just get the feeling that he's kind of looking at this as if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of routine. So
he can't consider it broke. It gave him a majority.
Yeah, exactly.
It was 41%.
So why would you want to change it? But okay,
exactly.
Natasha, sorry.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about this. The last woman to be the Speaker in the National Assembly was QMNA Louise back in 2002. So 20 years ago, Manon Massé of Quebec Solidaire is saying, okay, come on, it's time for another woman in this role. Is that going to happen?
I sure hope so. And I can't remember the last time we had. Do we have to go all the way back to Jeanne Sauvé in Ottawa? Maybe there have been others since that I'm not thinking of. But yes, of course, it's time. It's way past due to have a woman in that chair, and it's an important role. There's a ceremonial aspect to it. There's an institutional aspect to it. There's a day-to-day aspect to it. Running the National Assembly as a going concern and making sure that everything works. But I think we're way past due to have a woman in that chair. And I would, by the way, say that getting somebody from Quebec City is probably a very good idea because then they could be there more often. And Geneviève Guilbault has already said she doesn't want to be the minister from Quebec City and doesn't seem too enamored of her role at public security. Maybe she'd be the type of person who'd be willing to take it on for the next few years. She'd certainly be highly qualified. She's an incredible, very articulate woman.
Wait a sec. Are you suggesting, Tom, that she will not be renamed Minister of Public Security?
Well, she doesn't want Quebec City. There's also a lot of talk out there that public security has not been the best possible fit for her. She's absolute cabinet material. If she wants to stay in cabinet, she gets to stay in cabinet. But given her place in Quebec City and her riding there, maybe it's something she should consider if she's offered it.
And Deputy Premier, does she keep that role?
No, you can't keep that and be Speaker. That would be incompatible.
That's what I thought. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I thought we were sort of, looking at her as a potential successor to Francois Legault.
Oh,
himself.
She's got that ambition, but I mean, that's according to Legault, that's a couple of mandates away. And another one who wants to replace Legault is Bernard Drinville. Mm-hmm. They've both got a lot of ambition, but depends on what kind of life she wants to have right now, too.
Interesting. All right, Tom, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great to talk to you.